the unit called as Gunatraya Vibhaga. Guna means virtues, qualities, three, which are three. Traya means three. So there are three qualities, three virtues, which all the human beings on the earth could be categorized only into three categories. So you would be belonging to either one of them. Most probably, I would say 90% of the entire world belongs to that second category, including you and me. The theory of cause and effect is clarified here. Again, this is one of the biggest theory which we learn in management. Nothing happens without any kind of cause behind it. So whatever happens, whatever effect is there, there is always a cause hidden behind it. So this theory of cause and effect is clarified. A performer is responsible for after effects of his deeds. Performance management and appraisal are inseparable for the professional individual. That is happening in all the industries nowadays. A person's output depends upon his physiological, psychological and behavioral makeup and depends on the virtue he belongs to. These are the three virtues: Sattvic, Rajas and Tamas. Some of you might have heard these words for the first time, but then these are the in a way, those are spiritual words, but then more into the practicality. What it speaks about, there are three types of personalities, those which I have already told: Sattva personality, Raja personality, and Tama personality. Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. And this chapter speaks about these three types, their essentials, qualities of those types, the attachment which these types have got, then how do they overpower each other, how do they generate, how do they give out, what do they achieve, what are the outcomes, what do they generate, where do they end up with, what they depends on, or the people having belonging to particular characteristics, where do they depend, and how they can be free from them. These are all those three qualities. Sattva quality, Sattva, Raja and Tama. There are no English translation to these words. These are basic Sanskrit word adopted even by the Western countries as it is, because there cannot be any parallel word available in any literature. So Sattva people have got, there is a categorization of the people. So you have to find out where you belong to. Sattva people are who are pure and their behavior and their heart, those who are very liberal, big-hearted, and those who are always happy. Raja people, as I said, most of us belong to this particular category. I would say 90% generation, 90% people on the earth in the world belong to this category, who are very much goal oriented. Why do you want to do MBA? Because you want to make more money as compared to other countries, because you have got some goals, some achievements which you want to do. Greedy, you want to have higher level promotion. Why? Because that promotion will give you 30% more salary, more perks, more benefit, because you are greedy. You are very competitive. If you can remember, I had told you once that if you start comparing yourself, that is my life learning, you will never come across any problem in your life. And comparison generates competitiveness. You want to always run in the race and you want to always win over somebody. You have to be in the competition always. And you are very much passionate. Don't you think that all of us belong to this? You can be liberal, big-hearted, happy, but at times, not always. You can be big-hearted at times. You can be happy at times, not always. You can be pure at times, not always. Because this has got slightly a kind of spiritual connotation, where if you remember, I made a mention of id, which is the 60% of your mind. And everybody's mind of human beings is perverted with that 60% of id, which are the bad thoughts of impossible wishes, there are some very bad desires in our mind, and every human being is polluted with those kind of 60% of our mind. So if at 60% you are not pure, how you can claim that you belong to Sattva category? So we cannot. So there may be only 10% people who are really monks and sadhus, not the kind of gurus which you are seeing in the society nowadays. There are gurus which I know that he won't climb up a stage if we don't pay him 1 crore rupees. There are gurus in music who won't start with their mahfil if we don't pay them, we give them a check of 10 lakh rupees. They will not start the mahfil. I have seen the cases where that check or that envelope is given to him before he starts with the mahfil, because he said, pay me my money, otherwise I am not going to have this mahfil. So are these people pure? are these people the real devotees. Whereas if you see the old generation of these people, they were doing it only for the sake of self-actualization. I have given you many examples of that. So if those people are belonging to what in reality they are being hearted, pure, happy all the time, then only you can claim yourself to be belonging to that category. And we are here, most of the people, and there are who belong to this category. Tama means who are cunning, who are rascally, who are misleading, misguiding, without taking anybody's name. But I think most of the politicians belong to this category. Right? Some cartoons will tell you there. And what happens to these people? This 14th chapter is also told, or it is also suggesting what happens to such kind of people. So, urdhvam gachanti satvastha madhya dishyanti rajasa jagannaganavatistha adho gachanti tamasa. So, we are supposed to have some concept that earth is where you keep on taking birth again and again. Heaven is where once you achieve heaven, it is said that that soul doesn't come back. So soul, as I mentioned earlier, that soul transfers from one body to another body. That is a concept which happens on the earth. So if you get moksha, means your soul going to the heaven, it is not going to any another body, then you stay there in the heaven. And if you have got lot of negative activities, lot of cunning, lot of misleading, lot of briberies or corruption in your living life, you are going to go to something called as Patala Lok. So where all the demons stay. So accordingly, if Sattva, Raja, Tama people are to be categorized, Sattva people are on the top, Raja people are there in between, and Tama people who go to the Patala, where it is what we, another terms we call as Narak. So Narak is not there in above the clouds, it is below the ground. It is safe. These are some concepts. I don't know because I have never been there in any of the places. So I have not seen it, but then at least conceptually we know that the people who are Sattva quality, they will always go to heaven, they will always remain there, they will not come back. The people, common people, keep on taking the birth because Atma, your Atma will get transferred to somebody else's body and it will take another birth in the same place. And Tama people will go to Narak and they will stay there. They will be punished. You might have seen again in some of the movies or some of the mythological serials. Narakamade काय काय असतं? ते काय तळतात काहीतरी तेलामध्ये आणि काहीतरी लोक अंगामध्ये बाण मारतात वगैरे. I don't know whether this is really true or not. But then definitely the concept is there that people will at least hear something. With reference to a recent movie PK, which according to me is one of the best movie which I have ever come across. If everybody on the earth takes that movie seriously, I don't think that there will be any kind of religious quarrels. What is told in PK? Ye pura world is a डर का business. So why do we teach to smaller children? आप वो भगवान के पास जाओ नहीं तो भगवान आपको शिक्षा देगा. Why do we say it like that? Because that small kid is supposed to behave good, so that he doesn't anyway become a cunning person or a rascally person, misleading, misguiding. So this is also we are trying to reduce down to a greater extent. Competition is being reduced. So you perform, you compete with yourself, so that you don't have this kind of thought should come to your mind and you should not be competing with somebody else. So connecting this or connecting these qualities with the businesses, ethical businesses, if you see, those will always progress, those will always diversify, those will always keep on going more and more profits every year. They will never show losses in any of the financial year. I won't name ethical businesses, I won't name unethical businesses also. You know, or you may study which all businesses are there in India or across the globe which keep on progressing every now and then. They will make and increase their profits every time. Those who are ethical businesses, ethics are directly related being a sattva kind of a person. So person connected with the types of the businesses, all such businesses, ethical business will go up. All mediocre businesses means all those businesses which you have been seeing nearby your house in the market, which are there. You ask your parents, wo shop wahan pe tha, wahan pe hi hai. They might be having 1 or 2 branches here and there. So they have increased their businesses but not gone to the level of progress. They have not gone out of, with reference to 11th unit. They have not gone out of Pune, out of India, out of Maharashtra or something like that. So they will be there. They will sustain themselves. They will keep on doing their businesses, but then they will not grow because somewhere they have got this thing in their mind, competition. They do not have a global perspective. They do not have any kind of a goal oriented which is required for the person to go from here to there. So those will run, those will sustain, those will be there. So those are all businesses called as mediocre businesses, and those who have been unethical belonging to this particular category, they will always go to the rooms, they will shut down, they will close down. There are many cases which are there in Pune businesses, which there were people who did a lot of money laundering and the entire businesses have collapsed. There were few companies which totally closed down. At one point of time, the company were having say 9,000 crore rupees of turnover. Is totally shut down. The owner has fled to England. He is still staying there happily. There is another diamond merchant who is still there, living life very happily. But then what has happened to their businesses? Their business has gone down and closed. So it is because of the philosophy what those people follow. So CEOs, MDs therefore are supposed to be visionary, supposed to be pure. Then only they can pass on these kind of thoughts to the actual workability of the organizations. Now what happens? Sattvic is attached to happiness, nobility, joy. Rajas are attached to output orientation, stressful actions, because the moment you are counting the output and increasing the output, you are likely to be under the stress. Tamas people will keep on doing mistakes, misbehaviors, and it will lead to futile actions. Sometimes Sattva is superior to Raja and Tamas. So at certain places, maybe slightly spiritual, but then Sattva people will win because of their spiritual power. Raja people are winning nowadays because they are better as compared to Sattva and Tama people from the perspective of businesses. And sometimes Tama people will overpower, as all our politicians or all the corrupted people, they are still there, and we always wonder why such kind of people are still living very happily. It's because they are able to overpower as compared to their counterparts, Sattva and Raja quality people. In real life, nobility wins over worldly and ignorant people. Materialistic people supersede virtuousness, and ignorant people surpass virtuous and materialism. That's the meaning of Sattva overpowering others, Raja overpowering other two, and Tama overpowering other two. So actions performed by Sattva individuals lead to accuracy, perfection, truthfulness. You automatically will become Sattva kind of a person as far as your workplace is concerned. Actions performed by Raja people, they lead to anxiety, stress, strain, not able to do perfection, you will lead to stress. And actions performed with Tama individuals always fail, as the individuals often lack concentration, lack focus, or they have inability to perform the duties. This further leads to feeble cognizance, chaos, lethargy, and drowsiness. Sattva yields positive, sincere, pious outputs. Raja will yield desire, unhappiness, disappointment if they don't achieve the goals. Tama yield ignorant, illogical, and ridiculousness, and always a loss. Sattva generates, what does it create? It creates bliss, knowledge, wisdom around them. Raja people will generate still more kind of craving, gluttony, materialism, more competition. Tama will always generate blunders, parsimony, and obstacle. So what is happening to all these? What this ED department is doing? What is ED? ED department. A lot of frauds are.
Entrepreneurship.
That's another ED which we talk about. There is ED department in central government. What is that called? Enforcement. Yes. Enforcement. Correct. So those people are trying to find out all the probable corruption cases in India. Those all belong here, and all these cases are coming up a big way in our country. Sattva people end up with happiness, satisfaction, and contentment in life. Raja people end up with more and more lust, more greed, yearning, and more disappointment in the life. Tama people end up with idiocracy or idiocy, ignorance. Idiocracy means extremity or eccentricness, incompleteness, illegalities, infringements, and lack of knowledge. This I keep for the want of a secret. This is the thought process of the politicians. That talks about tamasic quality, the rascally qualities of most of them. Again, a tamasic quality talking about having all the allegations without any proofs, without any evidences. This is considered as one of the tamasic quality, that you eat when you don't want to eat. Few more inputs on eating habits will come in the next unit on this three category people. The last sentence is the one what he is doing. This could be the picture of the entire world, and typically in India, wars are mainly because of fights and religions.